There's no sports league unlike it anywhere in the world, where cartoons and football come together. This is the United States Cartoon Football League, celebrating its 40th anniversary.
But then I spent so many nights thinking how you did me wrong, and I grew strong, and I learned how to get along, and so you're back from outer space. I just walked in to find you here with that sad look upon your face. I should have changed that stupid lock. I should have made you leave your key. If I'd have known for just 1 second you'd be back to bother me. Go on now, go, walk out the door. Just turn around now, 'cause you're not welcome anymore. Weren't you the one who tried to hurt me with goodbye? You think I'd crumble? You think I'd lay down and die? Oh no, not I. I will survive. Oh, as long as I know how to love, I know I'll be alive. I've got all my life to live. I've got all my love to give. And I'll survive. I will survive. Hey, hey. It took all the strength I had not to fall apart, and trying hard to mend the pieces of my broken heart. And I spent oh so many nights just feeling sorry for myself. I used to cry, but now I hold my head up high, and you see me, somebody new. I'm not that chained up little person still in love with you. And so you felt like dropping in and just expect me to be free. Well, now I'm saving all my loving for someone who's loving me. Go on now, go, walk out the door. Just turn around now, 'cause you're not welcome anymore. Weren't you the one who tried to break me with goodbye? You think I'd crumble? You think I'd lay down and die? Oh no, not I. I will survive. Oh, as long as I know how to love, I know I'll be alive. I've got all my life to live. I've got all my love to give. And I'll survive. I will survive. Oh. Go on now, go. Walk out the door. Just turn around now, 'cause you're not welcome anymore. Weren't you the one who tried to break me with goodbye? You think I'd crumble? You think I'd lay down and die? Oh no, not I. I will survive. Oh, as long as I know how to love.
Greetings, cartoon and football fans, and especially fans of literary fiction. This is Bob Mozart of the USCFL Network welcoming you to this contest as we will rate and review stories written by Robbie Graham about his creation and the world's newest superheroine, Fashion Girl. Here's how this contest works. Fashion Girl and only Fashion Girl is participating, and football scoring will once again be used. The scores we give will also be done by a percentage rate. 120 points is the maximum score, and 100% will be the maximum percentage. There will also be an excerpt courtesy of Alexa, the Amazon app. As we begin round 12, Fashion Girl has a score of 75 points out of a possible 88 points and a percentage rate of 62.5%. After we take a brief pause, we will begin round 12 of the Adventures of Fashion Girl Fighting Crime with Style in this week's story, Aldornia Lives, Part 12. The Final Adventures of Fashion Girl, Book 5, Aldornia Lives, Part 2, Chapter 1. After being pronounced dead in the hospital, Fashion Girl's heartbeat starts up again and she revives. The doctor convinces her to stay for a day or two more for observations. The style chicks begin to research Aldornia to prepare for the next battle. Chapter 2. Aldornia threatens the city of Colonia with destruction if Fashion Girl's husband Dean does not surrender himself to her. Penny goes to the hospital to brief Fashion Girl on the new development. Fashion Girl is going to spend one more night in the hospital to fully recuperate. Penny advises Fashion Girl that the style chicks think that Fashion Girl should battle Aldornia as Phoenix the next time that they meet. Chapter 3. Fashion Girl does meet Aldornia as Phoenix and tells her that it was Phoenix who killed her boyfriend. Fashion Girl tells the other style chicks, who have all transformed into archangels, to let her battle Aldornia alone. Phoenix and Aldornia trained attacks, lightning and fire, but each is immune to the other's superpower. They then fight hand to hand and Aldornia loses. She agrees to leave town. Fashion Girl tells the style chicks that she is worried about the power levels that the archangels have and recommends that the archangels be no more. However, the style chicks convince her that there is much good that the archangels can do. Fashion Girl appoints Tiffany as the new leader of the archangels. We will now briefly pause before returning for the wrap-up and scoring.
As they say on TV, last time on Aldornia Lives. Fashion Girl's darkest fear came true when a young woman calling herself Aldornia came to town. She possessed the same powers Fashion Girl had when she dreamt that she was this terrible woman. Aldornia concentrated lightning and shot it at Fashion Girl, and she took a direct hit. She was taken to the hospital. At first, the doctor who treated her thought she would pull through. Dean and Sephora visited Fashion Girl. She went into cardiac arrest, and after 3 failed attempts, the doctor announced to the others that Fashion Girl had died. And now the conclusion of Aldornia Lives. Dean and the other style chicks were about to leave the hospital, except for Sephora. When she heard the news, she felt sick and ran to the nearest restroom. The monitor was still flatlining, and a nurse was about to shut it off when out of nowhere, the monitor began to register a heartbeat. Miraculously, Fashion Girl came back to life. Dr. Hammond ran to the others and said, "Hold up, everyone. It's a miracle. Fashion Girl is alive." Dean replied, "You better not put us on, Doctor." Dr. Hammond said, "I'm not joking. Fashion Girl came back to life." One of the nurses was about to turn off the monitor when a heartbeat began to register. A nurse came out and added, "Fashion Girl's vital signs have returned to normal." Dr. Hammond is right. It's a miracle and nothing short of it. Everyone was overjoyed. Tiffany went to find Sephora, who still hadn't heard the news. When Tiffany heard through the door of someone throwing up, she asked, "Sephora? Are you in there? Are you okay?" The wretch fest stopped as Sephora answered, "Oh sure, I'm all right. I always puke when I hear bad news." Tiffany said, "Sephora, something incredible just happened. Fashion Girl came back to life." Sephora opened the door and replied, "Tiffany, I swear. If you are being sarcastic, so help me," Tiffany said, "I wouldn't joke about something like this. Fashion Girl is alive. Her vital signs are normal. She'll be okay." Sephora replied, "I'm coming, Tiffany, but I don't believe it." When Sephora went back to Fashion Girl's room, the others were all in there. She said, "Fashion Girl? You are alive. You are alive." Fashion Girl replied, "Yes, Sephora, I am alive, but I admit I don't know how. I went into cardiac arrest. I did die. Call it what anyone wants to, but it's a miracle." Dr. Hammond said, "Yes, Fashion Girl, it is a miracle. But I want to keep you here for a couple of days to make sure that you are 100% well again." Fashion Girl replied, "I understand, doctor. I have no objections." Dr. Hammond said, "I know all of you are excited and glad Fashion Girl will be okay, but I must ask you all to go home now. Let her get the rest she needs." Dean kissed Fashion Girl, as did the others, as they said goodbye. When the others went back to the mansion, Victoria offered food, but no one was hungry. Tiffany asked, "Vicky, am I still in charge while Fashion Girl is recovering?" Victoria answered, "Yes, until she checks out of the hospital." Tiffany said, "I'd like to take on that bitch myself." Victoria replied, "If you try, Tiffany, you might end up in the same situation." Macy added, "The way I see it, mates, just like in Fashion Girl's dream, we need to learn more about our enemy. The more we know, the better off we'll all be." Victoria replied, "You have something there, Macy. I'm still preparing dinner for all of us, and afterwards I'll go to work and finding out more about this woman." Later that evening everyone did eat, and afterward Victoria went into the command center to get more information about the woman calling herself Aldornia. Victoria came out and said, "Remember when I said that Aldornia's real name is Rebecca Draven? I found her Facebook page, and you should all see this." What the others saw was Rebecca Draven, looking like a geek with horn-rimmed glasses, overweight, and with braces on her teeth. Sephora replied, "That's nowhere near what Fashion Girl and I saw. She was beautiful, has big boobs and is thin." Victoria said, "That's not all. I remember the man who called himself Lucifer traveling across the country kidnapping and raping young women. Didn't Fashion Girl say that his real name was Horace Wilcox?" Sephora replied, "I overheard Chief Marcus tell Fashion Girl that." "Why?" Victoria said, "Take a look at him on his Facebook page. Horace Wilcox also looked like a geek with thick glasses, a shirt, a tie, and a pocket protector." Macy said, "It looks like these two wankers were meant for each other." Sephora added, "I heard Aldornia say to Fashion Girl that he was her boyfriend and accused Fashion Girl of killing him." Tiffany replied, "Fashion Girl didn't kill Lucifer. It was the Phoenix that burned him alive." Macy said, "You're forgetting, mate. Fashion Girl is the Phoenix. It also concerns me that when she put an end to those bogus officers, she surrounded the police chief and the judge with fire. Remember, she began to laugh in an evil kind of way. It's the way she laughed that really concerns me. Fashion Girl has been afraid of becoming evil. As the Phoenix, is she going down that path?" Tiffany replied, "I don't think so, Macy. I heard her laugh that way too. Under the circumstances, I can see why she did that. Remember, everyone, Fashion Girl stopped a sexual predator by doing something different. We stopped the Russian mob in the same manner. Laughing maniacally doesn't mean anything." At that moment, there was nothing more anyone could do until Fashion Girl came home from the hospital.
One
This was another solid story. The focus was on the style chicks as they researched Aldornia, dealt with the press, and laid out a battle plan. Penny used her mastery of disguise to enter the hospital to meet with Fashion Girl secretly so that no one would know that Fashion Girl had not died as was first reported. I give this story a 7 as Fashion Girl needed all of her powers as Phoenix to fight Aldornia. As always, viewers are invited to submit their own reviews and scores. The book, The Final Adventures of Fashion Girl by Robbie Graham, is available on Amazon.com. Tune in next week for another Fashion Girl story review. And to remind, the new and 40th anniversary season of USCFL started last week, so look for upcoming postings of the exciting games. This is Bob Mozart of the USCFL Network signing off.